Before supermarkets glowed on every corner, before delivery trucks hummed through snowy streets, there was a quieter Canada. A country of long winters and short harvests, where families gathered close to the stove while frost painted lace on the window panes. Back then, a warm kitchen meant survival, and a simple sandwich could carry the weight of hope. They called them poor man sandwiches. 2 slices of bread, a bit of lard or syrup, maybe an onion, or a thin slice of bologna if you were lucky. It wasn't luxury, it was life. In mining towns, on prairie farms, along the Atlantic coast, people learned to make something from almost nothing. Every household had its own trick, its own way of turning scarcity into comfort. Children went to school with lunches wrapped in brown paper, the smell of fried bologna clinging to their mittens. Fathers packed bread and dripping for long shifts underground. Mothers spread butter as thin as a whisper, saving the rest for tomorrow. Somehow it was enough. In those humble meals lived the creativity and quiet dignity of a generation that refused to give up. These sandwiches weren't about taste alone. They were lessons in resilience, wrapped between slices of bread. Each bite held a story of cold mornings, strong hands, and the faith that spring would always return. Through them, families survived the Depression, the wars, and the endless winters that shaped this land. Today, we live surrounded by choice, yet something of that simplicity has slipped away. Maybe what we hunger for isn't just flavor, it's meaning, the kind that came from a table where everyone shared what little they had. In this journey, we'll open that old lunch pail once more. We'll rediscover 15 forgotten sandwiches that help Canadians endure hard times with courage, humor, and heart. Some were sweet, others salty, all of them born from the same truth, that love and ingenuity can fill even the emptiest stomach. So sit back, pour yourself a cup of something warm, and listen closely. Because in every crumb of bread lies a memory of who we were, and perhaps who we still are. There was a time when Canada moved at the pace of its seasons. Winters were long, unforgiving, and honest. The cold pressed against every wall, and the silence of snowfall filled entire towns. In those days, comfort didn't come from wealth, it came from resourcefulness. Families didn't talk about surviving, they simply did. Across the prairies, mothers rose before dawn to stoke wood stoves, their breath visible in the chill air. Bread dough rose slowly on kitchen counters, covered with an old towel that smelled of smoke and flour. In the Maritimes, fishermen came home with hands red from the Atlantic, trading their catch for a loaf or a jar of molasses. In Quebec, sugar shacks sweetened harsh winters with syrup poured on snow, transforming survival into something beautiful. Money was scarce, work was hard, yet somehow the kitchen was always alive. The radio crackled in the background, news, hymns, laughter. Pots simmered with whatever was available. A few potatoes, some onions, maybe a strip of bacon saved from Sunday dinner. When the cupboards ran low, bread became the foundation of everything: breakfast, lunch, and supper. And between those 2 slices, imagination thrived. Children learned early that waste was a sin. A crust never thrown away, a leftover never from all kitchens, snow falling outside, the smell of toast rising in the air. That was the Canada that endured, one meal at a time. Number 1, bologna and mustard sandwich, the working man's lunch. In every mining town, the smell of fried bologna meant morning. Sliced thin, browned until the edges curled, it sizzled beside a pot of weak coffee. 2 pieces of white bread, a swipe of mustard that was enough to fuel a 12-hour shift underground. It wasn't fancy, but it tasted like home. Number 2, bread and dripping sandwich, the prairie fuel. farmers saved every drop of rendered fat from the skillet. Spread over fresh-baked bread, sprinkled with salt, it became a meal for those who rose before dawn. It was heavy, warm, and honest, the taste of survival when winter winds clawed at the barn doors. Number 3. Maple syrup sandwich. Sweet survival from the sugar shacks. When cupboards were bare, maple syrup turned scarcity into sweetness. Children would press the sticky syrup between bread and run outside before it soaked through. The taste, warm, smoky, pure, reminded everyone that even in the coldest months, the land still gave back. Number 4. Peanut butter and pickle sandwich. Strange but beloved, a true Canadian curiosity. The salty crunch of a dill pickle against smooth peanut butter divided families but never disappeared. It was cheap, quick, and unforgettable, a little rebellion on white bread that proved necessity can breed genius. Number 5. Lard and sugar sandwich, the prairie kids' winter treat. On blizzard days, mothers spread lard and dusted sugar over bread for their children. It glistened like snow and melted on the tongue. Sweet, simple energy for long walks to school. Hardship turned to comfort, one sparkle of sugar at a time. Number 6. Cucumber and butter sandwich, a taste of summer. During rationing, in July, gardens overflowed with cucumbers, sliced thin, laid over buttered bread with a pinch of salt. They tasted of sunshine. During rationing years, this humble sandwich brought the illusion of abundance freshness against the memory of hunger. Number 7. Spam and onion sandwich, the wartime hero. Born from rations and resourcefulness, fried spam with raw onions and mustard kept soldiers and workers alike going strong. It was noisy food sizzling, bold, unapologetic. Every bite carried the echo of victory in small domestic battles against scarcity. Number 8. Tomato and mayonnaise sandwich, the garden reward. Nothing rivaled the first ripe tomato of summer. Sliced thick, sprinkled with salt, dripping with juice, it turned plain bread into a feast. The mayo added creaminess, the tomato brought joy. It was the reward for months of tending the soil with tired hands. Number 9. Molasses sandwich. The East Coast's quiet comfort. On the Atlantic coast, molasses was gold. Poured over bread, it filled kitchens with caramel warmth. The sandwich stuck to your fingers and your memory. For generations, it symbolized the sweetness of endurance, dark, rich, and humble. Number 10. Egg and relish. Sandwich Sundays, leftovers reborn. After church, mothers turned leftover boiled eggs into lunch. Mashed with relish, a hint of mustard, and a touch of salt spread between bread, it became Sunday comfort in Monday's lunchbox. Proof that nothing, not even faith or food, went to waste. Number 11. Fried potato sandwich. The farmer's breakfast between bread. Cold potatoes from breakfast, sliced and fried crisp, stacked on bread with butter. It was crunchy, filling, and perfectly portable. The farmer's answer to an empty pantry, a sandwich that tasted of earth, effort, and the early morning sun. Number 12. Bread and milk sandwich. Soft, sweet memory. Sometimes the simplest meals became the dearest. Bread dipped in sweetened milk, pressed together and left to soften. It was dessert for children who had none. Gentle, tender, like a mother's comfort on a hard day. Number 13. Fish cake sandwich. Pride of the Atlantic families. From Newfoundland to Nova Scotia, leftover fish cakes met bread for next day lunches. The scent of salt and sea lingered long after the meal. It tasted of hard work and ocean winds, a portable piece of the coast wherever you went. Number 14. Bacon grease sandwich. When nothing went to waste, when bacon was rare, its grease was treasured. Spread thin on bread, maybe topped with pepper or sugar, it carried the flavor of luxury. A reminder that even the smallest indulgence could brighten the bleakest morning. Number 15, cheese and ketchup sandwich. The school lunch hero. Every Canadian kid knew it. A slice of processed cheese, a smear of ketchup, toasted until the edges crisped. It smelled like cafeterias, snow boots, and home. Cheap, quick, and loved, it proved that comfort needs no recipe, only memory. These sandwiches weren't about recipes or trends. They were about the rhythm of life in a country that learned to make warmth from cold, sweetness from struggle. Each bite told a story of patience, creativity, and love passed quietly from one generation to the next. Looking back, it's easy to smile at these poor man's sandwiches, at their strange ingredient had purpose. Nothing went to waste, not a drop of syrup, not a crumb of bread. They understood what we sometimes forget, that life's worth is measured not by what we have, but by what we do with what we have. In the warmth of those modest homes, creativity was born from limitation, and joy came from togetherness. Today, we scroll past meals that look perfect, but feel empty. We chase flavor, but lose meaning. Yet those old sandwiches, humble, honest, carried a kind of wisdom that still matters. They remind us that survival isn't just about food, it's about spirit, about keeping faith that tomorrow will bring something better, even if it's just another piece of bread and a little imagination. Perhaps that's the true recipe our grandparents left us, not one written on paper, but one etched into memory. Gratitude, courage, and a touch of maple syrup. When we look back on those years, it's not the hunger we remember, it's the warmth, the smell of toast in a small kitchen, the sound of a knife scraping butter thin, the laughter of children huddled near the stove while snow fell outside. These memories live in us still, quiet but strong. Those 15 sandwiches weren't signs of poverty. They were symbols of resilience, proof that even when cupboards were nearly empty, hearts were full. They taught us that the simplest things, a slice of bread, a drizzle of syrup, a shared smile can hold the greatest meaning. Today, when life feels too fast, too complicated, maybe it's worth pausing to remember what they knew so well, that love doesn't need abundance, it only needs intention. So if these stories stirred something in you, a smell, a face, a memory from your grandparents' table, hold on to it, share it, because keeping their spirit alive is how we keep Canada's heart beating one story, one memory, and one humble sandwich at a time.